Alrighty, let's get this going. We are going to talk about ratios and proportions, and today you will write ratios and you will write and solve proportions. So this should be something that you should recognize from middle school and should be something fairly easy. Alright, so what is a ratio? A ratio is a comparison of, I'm going to back this up a bit. So a ratio is a comparison of two quantities using division. So when I say something like this, A to B, I can rewrite it as A with a colon B, A divided by B, where B cannot equal 0. Notice that when we say A to B, what's first to whatever, that's going to be written first or written on top. For example, I could say 16 to 9. Now, notice most TVs are in a 16 to 9 or a 4 to 3 ratio. So I could say that's 16 to 9 like that, 16 over 9. That would be like saying 16 inches the width, or 16 inches wide to say 9 inches in height. So that would be how we could explain that. Or if I saw it in words, how I can go backwards to the 16 colon 9 or 16 over 9. Okay, now, of course, not every TV is going to be 16 inches by 9 inches. So you could, but if you look at, say, 32 over 18, that's a bigger TV, but it's still in the same format, same ratio format. So, because it's just double, but that gives me a bigger TV. So kind of realize how we're going to work with these. So, for example, let's look at another example. Alright, in a local high school, there are 190 teachers and 2,650 students. What is the approximate student-to-teacher ratio? So notice here, I said student first to teacher. So students is 2,650, teachers is 190, and so what I would do there is set it up like that. I could put it as a fraction, 2,650 over 190. If you were to type that into a calculator, all you're going to get is 265 over 19, which still doesn't fully answer that. That could be the ratio I would accept, or I could ask for what is called a unit ratio, which we might talk about later, and that means actually divide that. So let me do that because of the approximate, and go from there, and say, okay, if I divide it with a decimal, notice how we can do that with the calculator, I get 13.974 over 1. And so from there, I would be able to say, divide and approximate that to be about 14, because we can't say we have 13.9 students, we would have 14 students. So the ratio here would be about 14 to 1. 14 students to 1 teacher. Okay, extended ratios are those that are used to compare 3 or more quantities, so A to B to C, which means that A is a ratio to B, B is to C, and A is to C. Notice how C is still at the end on all those. Alright, so let's look at an example. Okay, the ratio of the measures in a triangle is 3 to 4 to 5. Find the measures of the angles. Okay, so that means 3 to 4, 4 to 5, and 3 to 5. How does that work out? Well, really it's just knowing your properties. This makes it sound like it's a lot worse than it is. But, we're saying that there's angle measures that if I knew a certain x, that it would be 3 times x, 4 times x, and 5 times x. Okay? So, whatever that base little number is, these are going to be 3 times that, 4 times that, and 5 times that. But again, how would I still solve that? Well, again, what do we know about triangles? We know that all the angles add up to 180. So I could add them up, set them equal to 180, and then solve. And get 12x equals to 180, so x is equal to 15. Now that doesn't answer the angles. That just answers what x is. So you guys still find the angles and say, okay, 45, 60, and 75. Now obviously I didn't draw this to scale, but those would be the angle measures, and if you add those up, they would add up to 180. So there you go with that. Like I said, this should be easy, right? Okay, so here we just want to talk about an equation in which two ratios are equal. It's called a proportion. These are the ones where we see two fractions and an equal sign in between. A over B is equal to C over D. Now, A and D are called the extremes. B and C are called the means. So notice that I would make sure we know that. So when we multiply the extremes AD and the means BC, it is called a cross product. and the cross products should be equal. Okay, so if AD, oh, I went too far. Hold up, back that up. If A over B is equal to C over D, then AD times BC are equal. For example, if I said 4 over 10 is equal to 6 over 15, I could say 4 times 15 is equal to 6 times 10, which, by the way, it is. Oh, look at that. Oh, there we go. So there you go on that one. Now, how does that become something we're going to use? Oh, that means we got to have a little bit of algebra. So let's see here. Find x. So here I would multiply 6 times 31.5 or 31.5 and 21 times x. And then I would solve for x by dividing by 21. Again, stuff that you've seen since like middle school, guys. So this shouldn't be that hard. All right, let's look at another example here. What happens if I put, like, say, x plus 3? Oh, no, this makes it harder. Really? Okay, look. I'm saying 5 times x plus 3, and I'm saying 4x times 2. So if I multiply that, I get 5x plus 15 equals 8x. Variables to the left, numbers to the right, and then you can divide. See, it really shouldn't be that hard, guys. These are things that you should be doing. And if y'all keep telling, no excuses. Y'all, I know y'all can do this. All right, one last example. All right, for a class project, Fernando conducts a survey of 50 students driving to school and found that 28 own cars. If 755 students drive to school, predict the number who have cars. Okie dokie. So what we have here is we have 28 students who have their own car out of the 50 that say, so it's 28 students who have their car to the 50 total who drive to school. So notice there that 50 students is driving to school, 755 is also driving to school, so those two match up. So your proportion should have those two matched up side to side. And then we're looking for how many of them have their own car. That's probably the hardest part about setting these up, and it really shouldn't be that difficult. Just pay attention to what the wording that they use. So then you go ahead and say cross multiply, and then you can divide. Now keep in mind here, sometimes you may get a decimal. Like in this case, we get a decimal. We can't have 422.8 students. So maybe we go ahead and round up or round down. I would probably take either 422 or in this case 423. That should own a vehicle. All right. Anyways, that is it for today, guys. Thank you so much for your time, and y'all take care.